How's it going? Welcome back to more Dual Destinies. We are in court this morning. Just kidding, it is actually not morning, it's the afternoon. I guess it's on the same day as we did the investigation just then. Last left off, we're talking a little bit with Edgeworth, and we talked to Athena. Athena may or may not have killed her own mother. Do you think she did it? Given that it's an attorney game. Probably not.
I did a little research. I looked into the special psych locks you mentioned, Mr. Nick.
You did? That's great. I really appreciate it.
A red psych lock protects a secret a person is consciously trying to hide. If the person folds under questioning, the lock breaks and the truth comes out.
Yep. That's exactly how I got the truth out of Detective Fulbright and Director Cosmos.
But a black psych lock protects a secret from the deepest place in a person's heart. A secret that the person isn't even consciously aware of.
So even they don't know it's there? So you mean to tell me that that lock that Kristoff had in Apollo Justice was something that he didn't even know he was hiding? It's crazy. I thought the man knew everything.
Athena isn't trying to keep anything from you on purpose. For some reason, part of her heart and her memories are sealed off, even from herself.
Okay, so all I have to do is break the psych locks.
According to my research, a black psych lock is like a heavy chain wrapped directly around one's heart. If they are ripped off by force, it could cause permanent damage to a person's soul.
I mean, it's not like you can fucking physically touch them. What do you mean rip it off by force? In other words, if I'm not careful, I could traumatize Athena for good. Gulp. Pearls, could you stay by Athena's side? She must be suffering under the weight of such a heavy burden.
Alright, but will you be alright by yourself, Mr. Nick?
I'm up against Edgeworth. I have to be able to give this trial all my focus and strength.
And you can't do that if I'm there. I'll just hold you back.
No, that's not it. I just meant that I can relax and concentrate if I knew you were with Athena. You're the only one who can do it, Pearls.
Alright, I'll do it then. Good luck, Mr. Nick.
Thank you. Good. Now that my mind's at ease, I'd better get ready. I'll just tidy up the evidence and take out what I don't need. Happy almost Christmas! Defense, prosecution, and judge. There are even people in the gallery. The roof has been completely blown off and the walls have collapsed. But today, this ruin is my battleground. I wasn't expecting to see Klonko, or Ponko, or whoever's there. Oh, it's Aura, because of the horns. Court, or some whatever thereof, is now in session for the trial of Athena Cykes.
Not a facsimile, old man. This is a proper official trial. Take this more seriously, or you're starting hearing the bones of the hostages snap.
Please try not to upset Ms. Blackwell. I'm begging you. Court is now in session for the very serious and very proper trial of Athena Cykes. Edgeworth, look at you. He just looks a little bit like not as handsome as he could be in 3D. I can't explain it. I think I tried explaining it last time and I just can't explain it. This is no trial. It's nothing more than a ridiculous farce.
What did you say?
Edgeworth, did you not hear what I just said to his honor? However, this ridiculous farce has a very important meaning for our legal system. Recall the case of the UR1 incident, in which a prosecutor was found guilty of murder. Oh, he looks really handsome in this angle. You're handsome, Edgeworth. Don't let me tell you otherwise. That case ushered in the odious, smelly dark age of the law.
I see what you're after. If we can find the real truth behind that case today.
Precisely. The darkness will be dispelled, and glory shall be restored to the court system. Prosecutor Edgeworth, you said as if you know something of this truth? I do indeed. A new suspect has emerged in the UR1 case. For 7 years, Simon Blackwell has refused to speak in order to cover for someone else. Brace yourself, Phoenix. Here it comes. I'm sorry, Mr. Wright, but the situation is what it is, and I must do what I must. The prosecution moves to indict Athena Cykes on the count of murder in the first degree. It's fucking dusty as hell in here. Why'd you take off your glasses? You need those glasses on. Don't point. Should I just start in the judge's voice like that? Shimasu. Can you imagine? Imagine someone trying to tut you and they go, tut, no. This immense tension between us. It's like we're picking up right where we left off. It's my duty to clear Prosecutor Blackwell of false accusations and end this insanity. But I have no intention of losing Miss Cykes either. She's a very promising young lawyer. I know without a doubt that Athena is innocent. He needs to get a haircut on God. But I don't think Prosecutor Blackwell did it either. So, do you have any clues who was responsible for the sabotage? At the very least, I know it wasn't Simon Blackwell. I don't know enough to identify the true culprit, but it's clear what that person is. To put it simply, a spy. The true culprit is a spy. It's gonna be hard to convince anyone of that when I barely believe in myself. But I don't have a choice if I want to save Athena and Blackwell and expose the spy. Now then, Chief Prosecutor Edward. No need for the Chief Prosecutor bit, Your Honor. I am here as a simple prosecutor. Oh, thank God, that's too much words. Very well. Your opening statement, please, Prosecutor Edward. Although, I've been known of late to give an impressive opening statement myself. In all trials I've ever seen, only the prosecution gives an opening statement. What the hell are you doing? Oh, of course, you're right. I was just joking. Just having a little fun. So he wasn't doing them just out of fear? Interesting. Let's start with a brief overview of UR1 incident. The incident occurred at the Cosmos Space Center 7 years ago on October 7th. The victim, psychologist Athena Cykes, was killed in the robotics labs on the 4th floor. They made her eyes so glinty when it's so squinty. It looks like she's like a spider lady or like an alien. Oh, Athena's mother. Simon Blackwell, a young prosecutor at the time, was found guilty of the crime. And there were two deciding factors that led to his guilty verdict. 1. Blackwell was the only person in the corridor to the lab at the time of the murder. And 2. This photo, which captures the moment of the crime. Who took the picture? Very incriminating evidence indeed. It would appear that the only conclusion is that Prosecutor Blackwell did indeed.
Are you kidding me? I'm not accepting any conclusion of the kind. This opening statement is over. Now, hurry up and call the witness.
Excuse me, Miss Blackwell, but we must follow proper procedures for these things, you know. Or perhaps we should heed her wishes, Your Honor. She's the trial's sponsor, after all. Besides, the courtroom is chilly, and sitting for too long can't be good for your back. As if he was sitting on a different chair before when the court was like closed. What do you mean? Like, is the wind gonna affect his back? I guess it's also December too. It would be very cold. We should be wearing jackets. We shouldn't be out here in December, in late December with no jackets. Wait a minute. Oh, you're very kind to show such concern for the welfare of the elderly. As skilled as ever at playing the court puppeteer, I see. The prosecution calls its first witness. No witness. We decided to bring forth new testimony after 7 long years. I don't even know who the witnesses would be. New testimony. Just who is this witness anyway? What? You weren't alive 7 years ago. Bobby Fulbright's the name, and justice we trust. What? What are you doing here? I'm just here to speak for the hostage taker, Miss Aura Blackwell. She says she's too busy, what with confining and threatening the hostages and all. That doesn't seem to stop her from constantly chiming in through Klonko.
I'm nothing more than an observer in this. Do your best. I'm watching you.
Believing her brother innocent, Ms. Blackwell has been conducting her own investigation. And though her current actions are hardly lawful, I think we can at least hear her theory. I have here Ms. Blackwell's notes on the investigation she conducted, and I'll be giving the testimony based on these notes. Simon isn't the murderer. He was trying to cover for someone. Someone else was at the scene at the time they said Simon committed the murder. I mean, if he was really out to steal that moon rock, then why the rolling case? Because he was using it to hide someone inside. That's why. And the only person small enough to fit inside that case was Athena Cykes. And that's Ms. Blackwell's theory. It totally goes in the face of the official ruling, huh? About the case she mentions, there were other rolling cases like that at one in the lab. But they're not for traveling. They're apparently for moving parts and equipment. I vaguely remember seeing 3 cases, all different sizes. At the last trial, they thought the prosecutor Blackwell used the case to steal the rock. And that they had perfectly good reason to think that too. You see, there's a security camera in the corridor that leads to the robotics lab. And that camera captured the footage of Blackwell leaving the scene with that case. I can see why that footage helped to bring his trial to a quick end. It's very convincing, that's for sure. That case, by the way, was later discovered outside of the Space Center grounds. Speaking of after the incident, where was the defendant Athena Cykes found? She was found on the 5th floor of the Space Center in the Cykes family residence. Prosecutor Blackwell most likely brought her there after the incident. In addition, it's unknown where Miss Cykes was at the estimated time of death. Miss Cykes was too confused by the shock of her mother's death to give proper testimony, and there was no witness or evidence to tell us where she might have been. So what you're saying is, Miss Cykes didn't have an alibi? And that is what the evidence is saying, yes. I understand the reason behind the theory, but I'm far from convinced. The victim is the accused mother. Are you actually claiming an 11-year-old girl? How did he know how to do the math? Of course, the girl had a very strong motive. Dr. Cykes was a psychologist who wrote many papers about speech and emotions. You're aware of Athena Cykes' special ability, aren't you, Your Honor? Are you referring to that little therapy thing? Yes, she's done it quite a few times in court. The ability to read emotions for speech, and the subject of her mother's research. Well, as long as it benefits society, I don't see any particular problem researching it. I don't like where this is heading. Not one bit. Dr. Cykes was also intent on her research. She forced her daughter to undergo experiments. Prosecutor Edgeworth, what are you seriously suggesting? I've done my best to be delicate, but even you can't deny it to be true, Miss Wright. No longer able to withstand the anguish of the experiments. Miss Cykes felt her only choice was to kill her own mother. Ah! Order! Order in the court! What a tragic story! I hardly want to believe it myself. But we must proceed. Mr. Wright, if you could. Detective Albright, please refer to the notes. Okay, Simon is in the murder. He was trying to cover... Should I press everything? I guess I might as well. So, Prosecutor Blackwell willingly accepted a death sentence to protect someone else?
Yes, that is precisely what Miss Blackwell appears to believe.
And that is what I believe as well. Prosecutor Blackwell is no murderer, Mr. Wright. But Athena Cykes certainly didn't kill anyone either, Mr. Edgeworth. And so it appears neither of us can afford to go easy on the other. Fine, I expected no less. Oh, I remember this tense atmosphere. It's so invigorating.
3 hours later.
Sorry, if you notice that things look a little bit different, it's because I had to take a break for a couple of hours because I wasn't feeling good. I'm okay now, though. Someone else at the scene at the time, they said Simon committed the murder. But that's just speculation.
What?
Yuri! No, Miss Blackwell has proper grounds for her claims. Then why didn't you say so in the first place? You're the one who screamed hold it and cut me off. Why are we arguing? Why are we bickering? You know, it's them. Fine, so maybe I jumped the gun by a teeny weeny bit.
Ha 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 ha! Now I know what they mean when they say close enough to argue. Moving on.
Oh, come on. Let them argue a little bit more. They're fun. If he was really out to steal that moon rock, then why the rolling case? This rolling case? I suppose you mean the one that existed in the photo with Prosecutor Blackwell in it, but was absent when the crime scene photos were taken? Yes, that's the one. And Ms. Blackwell has drawn a conclusion from these two photos.
She has? What is that conclusion?
You're the one with her notes.
Oh, right. Of course. Reading them now. So, why the rolling case?
I always loved how, like, you know, you have this part of the game where the witness testimony is played uninterrupted, and then when it comes to the point where you're playing the game, they act as if they didn't just say all the things that they said beforehand, to try to keep up with the continuity of, like, oh, so what was the next thing that they did? He was using it to hide someone inside, that's why. And how do you propose he hit a person inside one of those cases? Have you forgotten that we saw just such a thing only the other day? At your own daughter's magic show. At your own daughter's magic show. She fit a whole grown person inside a small box. Oh, yeah. Oh, way to ruin the memory of a good day. Aw, he went to her magic show. Isn't that so cute? He hangs out with us. Cause we're friend lovers friends. A magic show? I wish you would have thought to invite me. Aren't I a friend lover too?
Actually, I would have liked to go too. I'm looking to be a friend lover as well.
My apologies. I'll invite you both next time. I promise. So, wait a minute. What were we talking about again? The only person small enough to fit inside that case was Athena. But that's nothing more than conjecture, and it's hardly the only possibility.
In that case, what do you think Prosecutor Blackwell had in that case?
I think it was my will to live. What? The moon rock. There were 3 cases at the scene, but Prosecutor Blackwell used the largest one. The moon rock was egg-shaped and only about 8 inches in diameter. It wouldn't have made any sense to use the largest case there just to move that rock. Yeah, but it's also easier for him to push that larger one around because it's like waist high, right? If you use the lower ones, you'd have to like... I get it. I understand. Be that as it may, it doesn't prove Miss Cykes was inside. Then let me ask you this. Can you come up with a better theory of what was inside the case?
Well, Mr. Wright, can you?
Yikes. Give a guy some time to think. Should I try to bluff my way through what could have been in that case? I don't know, isn't bluffing like your middle name or something? I don't know what would be inside that case. That case also was very narrow. I guess technically you can maybe fit a kid in there, but it just wouldn't be very comfortable. But I guess you're not, if you're putting a kid in there, it's not for the sake of comfortability or whatever the word is, if there's a word for that. I don't think comfortability is a word, but you know what I mean. What am I saying? Yeah, sure, you know what? Why don't we bluff? I know exactly what Prosecutor Blackwell carried from that scene. I just have to find something else that was missing, right? No sweat.
Oh, I'd be very interested in hearing your theory. If it's true, that is.
This is a crime scene photo taken after Prosecutor Blackwell left, correct? All we have to do is compare this with this photo of Prosecutor Blackwell to see what's missing. If he took something with him, then it should be in one of these photos. Is it the robot arm?
Alright then, Mr. Wright. Let us hear your theory.
I actually genuinely don't remember how things play out, like to get to where it needs to get to. Kurai. Please notice that there's a robot arm on top of the cart in this photo. However, in this photo taken after the crime, the robot part is gone. In other words, this part is something that was taken from the scene of the crime. You do appear to be right. I don't see it in the second picture. But it's just a piece of junk. How important could it be? Is it really just an insignificant robot part? Speaking of which.
What are you looking at? I'm gonna start charging for each glance per eyeball.
Stingy. What happened to the age of free previews? Okay, whatever. Your Honor, about this robot part. Doesn't it look like it could be an arm from that robot there?
Wow, now that you mention it, it does, doesn't it? But the case is still too big to be practical for just the moon rock and an old robot arm.
But was it really just the one arm that was in there? If it wasn't Athena in the case, then maybe. Oh, was it like a whole robot? I believe there was another robot at the scene that looks just like this one here. Your Honor, it is the defense's assertion that it was this other robot that was in the case.
What?
We can't be certain that part belonged to a robot. Yes, it looks like the arm of one before us, but it could be something else entirely. Besides, it's wrapped entirely in bandaging, making it difficult to verify what it is. No, I know for a fact that it's a robot arm. I can even tell which robot it belonged to just by looking at it. With this information, we can investigate whether it was there at that time or not.
Well, Mr. Wright, I thought you were more of the technologically illiterate type. When did you become such an expert? I feel somehow abandoned.
Not to worry, Your Honor. I still know next to nothing about machines, but I know this piece of evidence proves which arm the robot belongs to. Which robot the arm belongs to. The robot in this picture is named Ponko, but take a look at Ponko's arm. It was Miss Cykes who bandaged it up like that.
She must have thought that machines heal the same way that people do. What an adorable, naive mistake. What is she, stupid? It reminds me of my own grandchild. She's also stupid.
The robot arm at the crime scene had the same bandage wrapped around it. In other words, this robot arm could belong to none other than Ponko.
Order in the court. Order, I say. Prosecutor Edgeworth, what do you have to say to this?
I can see that the robot is about the same size as a child, but it cannot grab its knees and curl itself up into a ball. Even if it was the largest of the cases, the robot couldn't possibly fit in there.
The case does come up about mid-thigh on Prosecutor Blackwell. I see your point. The robot is much taller than that.
They've got me there. So then, did Prosecutor Blackwell make Ponko fit into the case by dismantling her? Of course Ponko would fit. All Prosecutor Blackwell had to do was dismantle her. Once taken apart, the robot could have easily fit inside the rolling case. It appears to be a robot assembly device.
Disassemble anything in a flash. Push the dismantle button.
Sounds rather violent, but Mr. Wright does have a point there.
Except that there was a body on the table where the robots are dismantled and assembled. There would have been no room to take the robot apart. As if you can't just carry a body and put it down on the floor for a second. But what if it wasn't done on the table? What if the katana was used instead?
You mean the sword?
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Blackwell, I'd like your opinion as a woman of science. Isn't it true that the katana could have been used to take the robot apart? Why do you need a woman of science to say that? If you just slash at it, regardless of if you can put it back together or not, what does it matter?
I suppose so. Their joints aren't made of a very tough material. A blade could slice through them.
Thank you for your expert opinion, Miss Blackwell. Thanks to you, we now know that the existence of the severed arm in this photo proves that Ponko was taken apart. In addition, since the rest of Ponko was not found at the scene, we can conclude that the true meaning of this photo is very different from the original interpretation.
You can't mean.
That's exactly what I mean. This photo does not capture the moment of the murder. It is instead a picture of the moment after the robot was sliced apart. The blood you see where the arm was cut off was transferred there by the bloody katana. Most likely, the rest of Ponko is scattered around Prosecutor Blackwell's feet.
Not hearing this.
Why are you upset at hearing that? Isn't that good for you, Aura? Therefore, what was transported inside that case was not the defendant, but a robot. Miss Cykes never was at the scene at the time of the murder. Oh.
My head.
My throat. I almost choked on my spit. I'm okay.
Order the court.
It's true that Ponko was found in pieces after the murder, and I'll admit I repaired her myself afterwards.
Yes, I'm finally making some progress. Hopefully, I've gotten at least one step closer to proving both Athena and Prosecutor Blackwell innocent.
You get it.
There's no power in that voice of yours, Edgeworth. Come on now. Well played, Mr. Wright. you've made your point abundantly clear. I concede that it wasn't the defendant inside the rolling case, but the robot. Alright, what's going on here? It's never good when he plays things this straight.
Does the prosecution withdraw its claim that the defendant was carried from the scene?
No, Your Honor, my claim hasn't changed. But Ponko and Miss Cykes couldn't have both been inside that case. The notion that the case was used to carry Miss Cykes was Miss Blackwell's theory. I have been of a different opinion from the outset. Now I finally have the opportunity to voice my theory, thanks to the defense. Edgeworth, he's been one step ahead of me this whole time. Isn't he always?
In that case, how do you propose the defendant left the crime scene?
Simple. The footage only shows Prosecutor Blackwell from behind. What's more, he's holding his arm in front of his body, as if he were holding something. Or someone. You think Athena's freaking big-ass hair wouldn't have stuck out from behind or in front of him, even if he was holding her? And also, the hand was clearly relaxed. That's hardly evidence. I have proof. The surcoat Prosecutor Blackwell was wearing. The victim's blood was found on the front of it, and the stain had a highly distinctive shape.
Bloodstain? What a distinctive shape. Please continue, Prosecutor Edgeworth.
7 years ago, the defendant was known to constantly wear a certain item, of which there is only one in the world. A special pair of headphones made just for her.
Goo gaga. She always wore those big, heavy-looking headphones. She said her mother made them for her as part of her research.
Analysis shows that the blood stain to be in the exact same shape as those headphones.
I don't agree, but maybe this is like a Rorschach test, or Rorschach, or however you pronounce it. They see rabbit, I see not.
In other words, this was no mere blood splatter. The blood went from the victim's body to the headphones, and then was imprinted onto Prosecutor Blackwell's coat like a stamp.
A most gruesome stamp indeed.
Blackwell carried Miss Cykes, who had been hit by a splatter, away from the crime scene. This proves that Athena Cykes was without question present at the crime scene, and that concludes the prosecution's argument.
Order! If the defendant was indeed at the scene, it deepens the suspicion against her.
But we've also shown that the robot was there at the scene as well. I hope you're not making the ridiculous claim that a simple robot was the real murderer.
Simple?
I don't really think that, no, but you can't say the possibility isn't there.
How can you call that robot simple? Robots themselves cannot be simple.
Detective Fulbright, was the robot questioned at the time?
No, I don't see any record of it. I believe it was considered unrelated to the case.
But, as it turned out, the robot was actually integrally related.
Your Honor, the defense would like to call Ponko to the stand. A robot witness? That's so crazy. I haven't seen anything this crazy in my life. Order! Order in the court! Prosecutor Edgeworth, what do you think about this?
Mr. Wright has called all manners of witnesses to the stands over the years. So why not a robot? Nothing surprises me anymore with him.
Very well, I will allow the witness. Bailiff, please summon the robot named Ponko.
Oh, yay. Ponko. Witness, please state your name and occupation.
My name is not Witness. My name is Ponko.
Yes, I realize that. But when you are at the witness stand, you are the witness.
No, I'm not. I'm Ponko. Say it with me. Ponko.
What an utterly inflexible little robot. You're the last person who should be calling anyone inflexible. Anyway.
Haha, you remind me of my grandchild who just learned his own name. Oh, how precious.
Alright, Ponko. I'm going to ask you some questions.
Questions? You have questions. Hooray! What are your questions?
I want to know if you were there at the scene of the murder of Athena Cykes. It was 7 years ago on the 7th of October, around 2 p.m. in the robotics lab.
Certainly. Just one moment. Searching data. Search complete. Yes, I was there in the robotics lab.
It would seem this robot's testimony is necessary to this case after all. This is great. I just knew Ponko must have seen something important.
Murder committed right before this poor little girl's eyes. It's inexcusable.
Aw, he cares. The judge seems ready to adopt Ponko as another grandchild. I mean, would you not? Look how cute it is.
So, Ponko, do you think you can give us your testimony today?
You know what's funny? How, like, if you have a robot testifying, how do you know if they're lying or not? What if can't they just easily lie?
I went to the robotics lab at about 2 p.m. for my regular recharge, my bad. I almost said something bad. Just as I was about to charge up, Athena came in and hugged Mommy Matisse. And then Mommy Matisse fell down. After that, I was recharging, so I don't know anything. After I charged up, I was cleaning the room, and Mr. Simon came in. And then an error occurred. There was no data after that point.
Well, sounds like the defendant was, without question, at the scene. However, it doesn't appear that the witness saw the actual moment of the murder. I disagree. This testimony shows that the defendant did indeed commit the crime. What? At the end of the day, we mustn't forget that this witness is still a machine. Being a robot, its understanding and capacity to express itself are limited. So what are you suggesting? The witness's statement needs to be interpreted. For example, the term hugged, and then, later, fell down. Adults don't usually fall down after being hugged by a child. Says you. They don't, but... Yes, what this witness's statements are telling us is... that the defendant stabbed the victim with the murder weapon during this moment. What? But if there was... If Athena, you know, went to go stab her mom, wouldn't Panko have seen, like, the weapon? Like, the sword? It's not like she doesn't know what a sword is, right? Wouldn't she have stated, like, oh, Athena hugged mom with a sword in hand, and then they fell down, kind of thing, you know? Before Miss Cykes hugged Dr. Cykes, did the two of them converse?
Yes, they did. They spoke to each other very loudly, but I don't know what they said. Athena is usually so quiet, so I was surprised.
Spoke very loudly. We could interpret this to mean they argued. I see. Murdered after a heated argument. And then the victim fell down. I agree that it does sound like a reasonable interpretation. However, Panko doesn't seem to remember anything that happened after that.
When I am recharging, I go into sleep mode. But I remember everything before that. I have a very good memory.
You may as well admit defeat now, right? A cross-examination would be useless. Ah, you'd want that, wouldn't you, dumb bitch? Don't be ridiculous. Cross-examination is never useless. Until now. Think about it. Robots don't lie. Oh, that's what I said earlier. This robot is both an important witness and valuable evidence at the same time. Oh wait, that's not what I said. I said the complete opposite. What's stopping them from lying if they would just reprogram the things that they say? Nevertheless, I will have my cross-examination. I see you haven't changed. You never were one to worry about wasting time. Says the one that's wasting my time by saying stupid shit about wasting time. Very well. Even if it may be a waste of time, you may proceed, Mr. Wright. It's not like we have anything better to do. I'll show you both just how fruitful any cross-examination can be. Went to the lab at about 2 p.m. to charge. Your regular recharge? What is that exactly?
I have to refill my battery's power or else I stop working. I go to the lab to do that.
So that recharge occurred around 2 p.m., around the time of the murder.
That's right. I go every day at 2 p.m.
It's about to charge up, Athena came and hugged Mommy Matisse. Hugged her, huh? Which Edgeworth took to mean stabbed her with a weapon. You said the two of them were talking before Miss Cykes hugged her mother. Is that right?
Yes, they were talking very loudly, but I couldn't tell what they were saying.
Couldn't tell, even though they were speaking so loudly.
I'm only allowed to listen to voices that are directed at me.
Oh, really? I guess that makes sense. You just hear a lot of muffled as opposed to just hearing everyone speak at once. If it listened to every voice, it would be a little better than a mobile eavesdropper. Well, that explains why some of Panko's testimony is so vague. It's a shame that our little friend wasn't listening in, however. We could have learned what they were talking about just before Dr. Cykes was killed. Mommy Matisse fell down after that I was recharging, so I don't know shit. I don't want to delve too deeply here, but could you tell us how the victim appeared and acted at this moment?
Mommy Matisse was very surprised when she was hugged. I heard her heart pound.
Her heart? Mr. Wright, have you forgotten about this document we found in the robotics lab? These robots have a heartbeat detection system. Now that he mentions it, I do remember reading something like that there. They detect the presence of people by the sound of their heartbeats. But wait a minute. That means... if Dr. Cykes really did die at this moment. Panko, how was Dr. Cykes after she fell down? Could you still hear the sound of her heartbeat?
Let's see. The moment she fell, her heart was pounding. After that, I don't know. I started recharging just then.
Of all the unlucky timing, if you had heard anything after that, it could have possibly proved that the hug wasn't actually the moment of the murder.
I'm very sorry. I'm afraid I don't know. I'm very sorry.
The robot is designed to go into sleep mode automatically, so it can't be helped. But it does appear it detected an increased heart rate at the moment of the stabbing. I feel like I remember the court record said that she instantly died, no? The weapon pierced the heart, so death was instantaneous. Yeah. So?
After Mommy Matisse's heart started pounding in surprise, she fell by the window. It was the round window on the workbench side of the room.
The workbench, huh? Panko must be talking about the table to the right where that giant robot is now, which is not near where the operating table is also. Is there something critical in Panko's statement just now? Yeah, there's two things actually. The heartbeat thing and then also where the location was, right? Your Honor, I believe this statement is critical. I'd like it added to her testimony. Very well. Mommy Matisse fell down near the round window on the workside bench of the room. Now, what do I present to contradict this? Is it this? Okay. Panko, your statement may have just inspired a breakthrough.
I was helpful? Hooray! I'm so happy!
Just to be sure, let's go over it again, okay? The victim fell near the window on the workbench side of the room. However, her body was discovered on the operating table.
But the operating table and the workbench are two different locations.
Exactly, Your Honor. We've just learned a new crucial fact. What could explain the two very different locations of the body? I'll tell you what, the victim moved. An 11-year-old girl couldn't have moved the heavy body of an adult, so the only explanation is that the victim walked to the operating table herself. In other words, what Panko observed near the workbench couldn't possibly have been the moment of the murder.
Whew! I'm very relieved to hear that. Glad to know that the murder wasn't committed in front of the little Panko here.
Yes, as we just heard in the testimony, Miss Cykes hugged her mother. Nothing more. Right. Oh, right, left. It's been 8 years, but you're still just as green as ever.
Rain? Oh man, I'm colorblind now. But I can't recall ever seeing Mr. Rain in anything but a blue suit.
Hey, blue's my favorite color. I also love blue, and I think you'd look great in blue. I don't think you would look great in green. I mean, you can try, but I don't think you'd look... Actually, you probably look just fine.
If the defendant couldn't move the body herself, she could have had it moved for her.
Moved for her? But Miss Cykes and Dr. Cykes were the only ones there.
I agree. Since this robot is equipped with a heartbeat detection system, it would have been aware of another person's presence if someone else had been there.
Don't wag at me.
We can therefore conclude that the defendant and the victim were the only ones present. Or do you suggest move the body?
Don't you know it's in the nature of a robot to help people do things? Miss Panko, allow me to ask you a question.
Panko?
My name is Panko! Say it with me! Panko!
And I believe you said you were cleaning after Dr. Cykes fell down. Did you happen to move something large onto the operating table?
Yes! Yes, I did! Athena asked me to.
Athena asked you to?
What did you move, little Panko?
I don't know. Unless something has an ID tag, I can't tell what it is.
So if you start cleaning stuff, what's stopping you from cleaning something that doesn't have an ID tag? What if it's like a fucking person?
An ID tag, you say?
Yes, a tag with the barcode on it. We robots scan them to tell us what a thing is.
That paper in the lab did mention something about that. Recognizes people by scanning their spacesuit or uniform jacket tag, ID tag, it says. So it would appear that Miss Panko here can't identify what it moved. Why do you keep saying her name wrong? You mad rude.
My name is Panko!
But we humans have the power to imagine what it was, do we not?
What? We do?
Well, I do, at the very least. Someone's not using their brain. Miss Panko, on the defendant's command, move the body onto the operating table. Ah! Panko, did you really move Dr. Cykes' body? This is really important. Isn't there any way you could tell?
I don't know. Without an ID tag, I can't tell.
Give it up, Wright. If the victim's heart was stopped, the robot's detection system would be useless. Furthermore, Dr. Cykes usually wore her white coat while she was working. Which is pretty stupid. If you're gonna be wearing the white coat most of the time instead of your jacket, you probably should have had your ID tag on your jacket and on your white coat and not in your jacket. Dumb. She kept the jacket with her ID tag on it draped over a chair in the robotics lab, and only wore it for special occasions. So how would the I guess if you're talking to them directly, then the robots would be able to tell who you are, I guess. In other words, the victim wasn't wearing her ID tag at the time. From the robot's point of view, her body was simply just another object. But Panko is equipped with a facial recognition system. If she really did move the victim, she would have recognized the body as Dr. Cykes. But she didn't. So that means a face can easily be covered with a piece of cloth, a mask, or anything else for the matter. With her facial features hidden, the robot wouldn't have been able to tell it was Dr. Cykes. Gah, he's right. To summarize, Miss Cykes stabbed her mother near the workbench. Then, using the robot, she moved the body to the table, where she removed the sword and was stained in blood.
Order! But if that's the case, then I have a question. Why did the defendant move the body to the operating table in the first place?
You want a reason? Very well. You can't possibly have an explanation. Your emotions blind you to the truth. You could learn a lot from your robot friends. Yeah, the ones that you can't even pronounce their damn name correctly! Calm and rational thoughts will open your eyes to the truth in front of you, Mr. Wright. Now then,
Do you remember the operating table's one special feature? I believe I read that robots can be assembled and disassembled there. Isn't that right? That's right. And to the defendant, who was just a child at the time, the table was like a magic box that could make robots appear or disappear in seconds.
But in the end, my mom just put her on the operating table and fixed her in a flash. I was so impressed with what my mom did. I even asked her if she would put me on the table and fix me if I ever got hurt. I don't know how Mr. Edgeworth is bringing this up when he wasn't here to hear this, but okay. It looked like just magic to me what she could do.
You can't possibly be suggesting... This young, sheltered girl had a difficult time distinguishing robots from people. Oh, but take a look at Ponko's arm. It was Miss Cykes who bandaged it up like that. I must have thought the machines heal the same way that people do. A real adorable, naive mistake. Oh, she's so fucking stupid. No way. I refuse to believe it. Miss Cykes made a childish, naive, and cruel mistake. She thought that if a robot could be dismantled and vanish without a trace. Prosecutor Edgeworth! If you're about to claim what I think you are, I demand that you word it as delicately as can! With all due respect, Your Honor, all I can do is present the truth as it stands. The reason the defendant moved the victim's body to the operating table. No! Don't say another word! Just stop! Fuck you. Was to dismantle the evidence so that she could get away with a crime. That can't be true! I didn't expect you to say any words. I thought you were just gonna make a noise. And it'd be funny if you cut out that first part of that sentence and then just make him scream, true! Order! Order in the court! Order in the court, I say! Edgeworth, she was just a little kid. How can you say such a horrible thing? I thought we were friends. Horrible? Like I said, you're just as green as ever. I came here today as a prosecutor to seek only the truth. No more, no less. My theory is simply the result of a rational consideration of every possibility. But dismantling isn't the table's only function. It can make repairs as well. It's conceivable that Miss Cykes moved her mother to the table in order to fix her. I suppose that could be another way of interpreting it. But dismantling or repair, it doesn't matter either way. What do you mean? After murdering her mother, Miss Cykes may have come to her senses. Perhaps she did want to make it appear as if it had never happened. And that's why she tried to repair her mother. Yes, that's one possible explanation. But we mustn't forget the facts of this case. The victim was observed to fall down after being hugged by the defendant, and the body was moved per the defendant's command. These two facts that indicate the defendant's guilt, remain unchanged.
This just can't be true!
That's right. Do you have any evidence to refute the prosecution's claim?
What about the heartbeat thing, dogs? Come on!
Evidence? Right. Let's see.
I can't think of any. What about the heartbeat? Listen to your heart. Listen to my heart.
I'm afraid I don't have any evidence.
Come on, dogs!
Ugh. Since becoming chief prosecutor, I've learned that the truth isn't always pretty. Now, accept the truth, Mr. Wright. Your subordinate murdered her own mother. Your Honor, the prosecution demands a verdict. The hostages may have suffered enough. Oh, right, I forgot there are hostages.
What a terrible and tragic conclusion. If the defense has no counter-argument, I see no need to further prolong this trial.
Edgeworth's argument seems solid enough. But there's no way Athena could have ever done anything like that. What do I do? There has to be something, but I can't think of a single thing.
Someone objected. Oh, hey, what? Oh, it's not her. Simone!
Prosecutor Blackwell!
How'd you get here?
What? What the hell? What did you sound like? This is quite the farce you are conducting here. I could die from laughter. I'm laughing, you hear? I'm dying. Prosecutor Blackwell, what are you talking about? What I'm talking about is that your argument is based on an entirely false premise.
Go on, we're listening.
Could this be the miracle I need? But what is Prosecutor Blackwell trying to pull here? 7 years. For 7 long years, this case has been on my mind. Not for an instant did I not think about it.
Well, it would have been hard to not think about it considering you were in jail for it, but
I'm the one who killed my mentor. And don't think you can alter that fact now. Your baldness, I will take that stand, and I won't take no for an answer.
Oh, of course, well, whatever your name is, please, go ahead.